Woo, and good morning, everyone. Welcome to Spirit Sessions of You the Light. Come on in because you know we all have so much fun when we get together. We have Rhonda Elliott who helps us so much, and she's got, man, if you don't listen to a piece of advice Rhonda gives you when you're talking to her, you will end up coming back later and saying, okay, Rhonda, you were right. So we got our mother here who takes care of us. And today we're missing Bex Marie. So please send warm thoughts to Bex and her family because, you know, the snow and stuff. And I'm Teresa Warren. I'm a little bit of love and chaos and all mixed together. And Rhonda, you have a guest for us today, and I would love you to introduce our guest while I remind our audience to share out the show on Facebook, but also go to YouTube, sign on there or subscribe and share that out. Leave comments, let us know you're out there. So back to Rhonda.
Thanks, Teresa. I'm so glad you're here, and I'm really glad to reintroduce everyone because he's been on our show before. It's Doug Buckingham. And if you haven't downloaded his free app on your phone, you're missing something. It's a wonderful app to listen to for all sorts of things. He has lots of free hypnotherapy things you can listen to when you're sitting, relaxing, and you want some guidance. And he's just got some beautiful sound healing on there. Got all sorts of wonderful things on that app. Doug, can you tell us just a little bit about yourself and maybe give us the name of that app, because I just have your face on there and I can't remember the name for it. It's transformational something. Sorry.
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me back. It's great. It's always, it's always a little bit of validation when someone invites you back to their house, to their show, whatever it is. So that's always nice to come back. And the app is called Hypnosis for Transformation. You can find it at the Apple thingy and at the Google thingy. So that's there. And the app costs 99 pence in my language, and maybe that's about $1.40 or something in Canadian or American. So it's quite accessible in that respect.
Yeah, it's almost free. That's all what I should have said. Almost free. It's well worth the 99 pence. No, I love how I listen to it a lot. I've bought the sugar-free one to help me with my sugar addiction. So it helps. I have to go back and revisit it every year though, because I kind of need it too. But you do a lot of different things, and you're a transformational energy worker. Is a good kind of a bubble to put around you, I would say. You do Reiki, you're a hypnotherapist, regression, past life regressions. You do all sorts of different things. But we're talking about trusting your soul, and how does that work into trusting your soul, and what's that all about?
Yeah, I think, probably the first thing that I should say is that, transformational energy worker is kind of that label I attach to myself because, as you say, I do a few different things. But really, I'm helping people to move through blocks in their life to move on to the next stage of the journey. I guess my sort of undercurrent, as it were, is the journey of the soul. And with that in mind, I do a lot around regression. The Reiki comes into it a bit for healing, healing or, energy healing. I don't even think of it as Reiki anymore. The other thing that I do is sound healing as well, which kind of works really well with people. Works really well with everybody to help clear a little bit of stuff. So loosely, what I'm helping people to do is to clear their stuff on their soul journey. For me, the soul journey is all that it's about. Sure, we have personality challenges and personality wins and, personality plateaus along the way, but it's really, it's where the soul is going. It's what the soul wants us to do in this lifetime. It's kind of how we adapt to that. So I've been talking about trusting your soul. I've probably been boring the people who read my monthly newsletter for quite some time. Probably years, or certainly the last 6 months, I've been talking about it as an essential thing to do. And I think, I don't remember the last time I was on your wonderful show, but it's got to be more than 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's about 2.5 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
I have to go back. Yeah, season 3.
And of course, what's happened is the world has changed since then as now. There's been some pretty big changes in the outside world, and I, like a lot of other people in my line of energy healing, energy work, whatever you call it, have been talking about it, and you guys probably have as well, have been talking about this time for some years now, saying that, there is an awakening opportunity for humanity. There is big opportunities to shift both individually and collectively. None of us thought it would quite happen like this, but, here we are in this situation that we've had. And what's happening, it's this big awakening that is slowly unfolding within the world. And the reason I've been talking about trusting your soul is the fact that, without wishing to get too political, is that historically human beings have given away their power. We've given away our power to the feudal lords who owned the land that we worked on back in the day. We've given away our power to the church. We've given away our power to the government. We give away our power to the damn TV, if you'll excuse my language. And, this point in time is really for us to realize that we are the ones we've been waiting for, to use a cliche. We have the power. We are the people who can go out and make change. And to do that, we need to do a few things. And, first step is really to kind of trust ourselves, trust our soul, because we have everything that we need. We don't need to go out there and, I run courses, so I shouldn't be saying this. We don't need to do that course. We don't need to do that thing. We kind of have it all already. It's a question of simply buying into that concept that, our soul is this wonderful multi-dimensional entity of which we are simply a small part. We are simply a small part, but we have the ability to access all of those gifts, all of that energy, all of that knowing which is inside us, and to bring it to bear at this moment in time. So that's kind of where I'm at with Trust Your Soul. It's, there's a few big things we can do at this point in time, and this is one of them.
And what does trusting your soul look like? Like, if you I like examples because I'm an example girl. So give me a kind of like a boots on the ground kind of thing that trusting your soul would be like.
That's a good question. I think, first of all, we have to acknowledge the fact that we are predominantly a mental level bunch of people. We like to understand things. We're moving into the intuitive state, but some of us are better at it than others, but we by no means got there. So the first thing we have to do, we have to accept that it's a possibility that the soul exists. And it doesn't really matter how you do that, whether you do that intellectually, whether you do it experientially by, through your meditation, through having past life regressions with people, whatever it is, just understanding. You could also look at the facts and you could say, well, if I look at it, there's kind of 1 billion Hindus around, there's like 500 million Buddhists around, there's a whole bunch of other people who believe in reincarnation. So factually, there must be something that's going on there. So the first thing to do really is to kind of believe in the concept, to acknowledge that perhaps there is something more than this flesh and blood of which we place so much faith. So, first of all, I would say we need to open the door if we haven't already done so. Trusting your soul, on a sort of more ongoing basis, it's kind of getting more into the feeling side of the being and feeling what's right for you. For example, you talked about, before we started, you talked about, what are the energies of these times? Kind of what are you feeling? You can talk about that if you like, Doug. Do you know what I'm doing in January? I'm doing nothing. That's not quite true, but essentially that's what I feel the vibe is at the moment. I send out a monthly newsletter, I only sent it out last Thursday. Normally it goes out on the, on the 1st of the month or the 2nd of the month. And instead I send it out on the 13th. And that was really my feeling, was that I couldn't send it out before that point, because I think we're kind of just in a little bit of state where, January is a lot about reflection. I think it's really more than ever, we're kind of reflecting on where we're going to go in this year. And it's the old cliche that we've all heard. If you do the same thing, you get the same result. So, I certainly am using January to think, okay, well, I've done it like this, and that's kind of been okay, but it's probably not going to work as we start to move into this new energetic vibration that we're all kind of generating for ourselves, and equally importantly, the planet is starting to offer us. So, tuning into what feels right internally is a big part of trusting your soul.
Do you feel like, I've heard this by a few other people, that it seemed like 21 went super fast, but the beginning of 22, like, it seems like January is really slowed down. The time is slowed down, and you're thinking it should be the end of February now, but it's really just the middle of January. I'm just wondering if anybody else had that sense of feeling as well. Like,
yeah, I feel like that, and for me, that feels as though it ties into the reflection thing. I think the universe kind of bends to our collective. Well, I don't think. I strongly believe that the universe bends to our collective will. So when we're all sitting down and going, how is life now? What are we going to do next? That's a moment in time where we kind of pause ourselves, as it were. And that's, I totally agree with your feeling around that.
Okay, cool. I just wondered if you felt that too. Like, it did seem like we're reflecting, that pausing and waiting. It's like we're all sitting there waiting on the cliff to see what's going to jump off next. I don't know. Sometimes that's the way it feels. It just feels that.
Yeah.
Like there's anticipation of, but it's a good anticipation, We're waiting for the train to come or whatever. I don't know.
Well, we're waiting to make the train.
Yeah.
The question I have is, when it comes to it, what are the main blockages? So we need to open up our heart and believe in the soul and stuff. And so we're going on and we're trying to trust, and we're at that point. What are the major blockages that come up most often when you're healing people or clearing them?
It's a 4-letter word beginning with F. It's fear.
Oh, duh. Okay, I got it.
I knew you'd fall for that. Yeah. Yeah.
I think say food. No.
Fear is one of the biggest vibration inhibitors around. And as humans, it's in our collective psyche, if you like, that we fear what we don't understand properly. And we could put that down to the soul. We can put that down to us moving forward energetically, because we can't rationalize reading a book exactly what it's like. Exactly, there's no handbook for the soul. People have written books on it, but it's kind of different for everybody what our own experience is. And I think moving into, I see people all the time who are in various degrees of awakening, if you like, and a lot of people's question recently has been, what do I do next? What do I, how do I kind of move? Okay, I cleared this pattern that I've been sitting with for 16 years or 9 years. What do I do next? What fills the void? There is a certain amount of fear that's attached to what happens next, because our whole identity is based on our history up until this point. Yeah. So if we are going to become something different, what does that mean? What does that mean we are? Does it mean that I lose my this? Does it mean that I lose my that? There can be fear associated with moving forward. Because in some degrees, when we have a spiritual awakening, maybe it happened to you guys, maybe it didn't. You lose what you've had up until this point. I've been talking a lot about this recently at one-to-one. I was discussing with a client last week how, the group of people that she's hung around with for 25 years probably aren't going to be the group of people that sustain her for the next 25 years.
Oh, true.
Because, she's had a big awakening in the business world. She's probably not going to be there for very long. What happens next?
Right. And the fear that brings it, like, it seems like we've almost, in the last 2 years, like we've been prisoners of that collective fear that they've been pushing on us. And I feel that maybe they are trying to dumb us down. Do you think that might be kind of something that may be going on?
Yeah, I think we're moving into the political arena now, but into the spiritual aspect of it as well. And I think there's a heck of a lot of dumbing down. I think somebody said to me the other day, "What's the best thing I can do for myself?" And in fact, this happened a lot last year. And because this person was suffering from anxiety, I said, "Just turn your TV off." That's the best thing you can do. And I worked with, as I say, I worked with a lot of people around anxiety in the past 18 months, especially. It's not an area where normally I'd say I go. I kind of do other things, but because it was coming up, in huge waves within the human population, I did quite a lot. And let's say it was probably a lot more, but let's say 10, because it's a nice round number and it's easier to understand. Out of the 10 people that came from anxiety, 9 of them ended up turning their TV off and felt a whole lot better because of it. And that was almost like, it wasn't quite the end of the problem, but it reduced the problem hugely. So I think there's a lot of dumbing down. There's a lot of into the into the collective mind.
Yeah, and letting go of old habits and old ways is hard, but always necessary in order to grow. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, and we're in such a fascinating time, though. You know what I mean? All of our potential is right there around us, because in my personal work, the messages I keep getting with people is that, it's really time to just let go of all those things that the history that our family history or our this or all these beliefs and things. It's time to, like, okay, you've had time to study and learn this. Step into your bigger self, let more of that in. And so to me, we're taking the slower time to assimilate more of our greater, grander self so that we can then enter into the world with that energy and make the changes that really need to happen. What do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think in a sense, we kind of need to throw ourselves on the fire and burn ourselves up to let ourselves be reborn like the phoenix, metaphorically, and in some ways quite literally as well. We need to chuck everything out that we've been up until this point, because it is a new whatever we're going to be.
Now, I just wanted to go back to your origins here. So we're talking about the soul. And for a person like me, it's never been a question. I know some people they've always struggled with, is this right? I've always known from when I was little that there was more out there. Sure. Like, I never ever questioned it. I questioned the Easter Bunny, but I didn't question the other part. But did you know that too? Or was it from your study that you learned more about the soul and like past life regression? Like, was that what kind of made the proof, or was
I was in the same group as you. I didn't really come from that family background, but we sort of just knew it to be true without really ever getting involved in it. My gran used to have a lady in the same block of flats where she used to live in East London, who used to read the tea leaves, and we didn't laugh about that lady. We say every so often we need to go and see her. It's just taken as being a truth. I remember sitting down and watching it was actually a Barbra Streisand movie. It would have been sometime in the mid 70s, and it's one where she goes to stop smoking, and she goes into a psychiatrist's office or a psychoanalyst's office or whatever it is. And in the film, she lays down on the couch and she goes into a series of what appear to be past lives. For me, that was just, hey, that's what people do when they lie on a couch. I took that as a truth without really ever putting it into any form of context like we talk about it now.
Yeah. So when you started doing regression therapy, and you note that people sort of, I guess, some people carry their baggage forward. Is that what you found, and that might be hindering them from like really getting on with
I think I'm going to be honest. I'm going to say I think we all carry our baggage forward. Whether we can actively identify it or not. Because we've all got a history, whether it's in the current life, whether it's in past lives, we've all got unresolved stuff within that history. I'd like to say it's as easy as going, yeah, I'm going to let go of the past. But, it's kind of wrapped up in our behaviors and our everyday existences.
Exactly.
So we kind of have to disassemble it a little bit more.
Unravel.
Not necessarily methodically, but when problems come up and go whack, we need to look at them and deal with them and say, okay, where in my history did I start doing that?
Yes.
Yeah. And then sometimes when you unpack one bag, you find that there's 3 or 4 more boxes, like those little Russian dolls.
Yeah.
Like you get one out, and then you go, oh my God, more. So
yeah, I think there's always more. Somebody sent me a question the other day and said, at what point do I need to start doing this stuff? Or what point can I accept myself as I am? And, how do you answer a question like that? We could probably go on working through our past experiences for quite some time. But the key is accept yourself as you are now.
Yeah, and if you're content with that, right? I think being content is more than anything else what we try to seek, being content with where you are. And if you're not happy and content, then maybe there's something you got to fix. I don't know, or something you got to readjust, or I don't know. That's fine.
Yeah, I believe that acceptance is the key to healing. So, it's kind of, I think the Buddha said it, to start healing a problem, you kind of got to know that you have a problem. And it doesn't detract from the acceptance of where you are. It's kind of a little bit of both worlds.
They're asking me, can you show us a little bit of what you do? I just wanted, can you do a little short? I never asked you that beforehand, but I think I asked you on the last show. If you can just kind of give us a little bit of a sample of what you do, and maybe something that the audience might like to participate in.
You mean take your audience into a past life right here and now?
Or just like whatever would be a good starting block for that.
Well, it's really
probably hard.
It needs a little bit of time, but everybody who's listening, why don't you close your eyes now?
Okay.
Just that's it. Take a couple of deep breaths in and out. Hopefully you're all sitting in a chair. If you're driving the car, then just kind of tune out for the next 5 or 10 minutes. Okay, and what I'd like you to do is just to kind of be aware of 3 places on your body. First of all, your bottom on the chair that you're sitting on, and get a real sense of solidity within your body. Get a real sense of being supported underneath you. And then get a sense of your heart chakra, which is in the middle of your chest. I'm guessing most of your audience are familiar with the chakras. To the right of the physical heart is your heart chakra, if you're not familiar. And get a sense of being able to breathe into that area. Also to breathe out of that area. Just breathing in and breathing out through the heart chakra. Then take your attention right to the crown chakra, or right to the crown area on the top of your head. Get a sense of that area opening up, so to speak, just like a doorway opens. All of these 3 areas, the base of your spine where the root chakra is, the heart chakra, the crown chakra, can just open up to a possibility that's more than you where you are now. As you breathe in and out, you can just let go of the external world ever so slightly. You can just focus on your inner world. Every breath in will just help to relax you a little bit more. Every breath out will just help you to just let go of any stress, anything you no longer need. What I'd like you to do is to start to imagine yourself, whether you do that visually, feeling-wise, or kinesthetically, or just a vague sort of knowing. Just imagine yourself in a beautiful country garden. In that place, you can become more aware of a wider variety of things, whether it's visual images, like trees or flowers, colors, maybe even features like water. Just imagine it however you like. You might even hear sound in that place that help to relax you further. It's the sound of water or birds. You might even have a sense of just feeling safe and comfortable, relaxed in that space. However you experience that relaxed country, whether it's clear, whether it's vague, whether it's visual or feeling and knowing, absolutely fine. You might imagine your own garden. You might imagine a garden that you've been to. Or you might imagine one that's completely random. However it is for you is fine. And what I'd like you to do in your imagination is just to imagine a path that leads out of that place and back to a positive past life that's helpful for you to briefly experience today. And as I count from 1 to 5, you can imagine yourself starting to walk down the path on the count of 1. And on the count of 5, going all the way back into that positive past life experience. So 1, just starting to walk down the path. See yourself walking down the path, feeling it, knowing it, imagining it any way you want. 2, just going back and back and back in time to the right time and place for you. 3, just allowing the process without trying to control it in any way, just allowing it to be whatever it is. 4, nearly at the end of the path now. And on the next count, leaving the path behind and going all the way into that experience. 5, leaving the path behind now and going all the way in to that positive past life experience. Get a sense of a body that you're in back there, whether you see it, feel it, or know it. It might be vague, it might be clear, but the memories can become clearer and stronger for you as you focus or get a sense or simply allow an idea of that body to come through, whether it's a male or female body, whether it's a younger or older body. Just allow yourself to connect with that experience and start to describe yourself internally. Get a sense of what you're wearing on your feet. Oh, I'm barefooted. I'm wearing sandals. I got boots on, whatever it is. Get a sense of the clothes that you're wearing on that body too. Perhaps they're loose and comfortable. Perhaps they're tight. Perhaps they're rough. Perhaps they're smooth. And get a sense of whether you're carrying anything, perhaps in your hands, or wearing anything on your head. As you go all the way into that experience, it may be vague, it may be clear. However it is for you at this moment in time is fine. And get a sense of what's so positive for you about this past life as you connect with that past life body. You might start to feel whatever you feel. You might have a sense of what you're doing in that past life experience. Or perhaps you're observing others do something. However it is for you is perfect. So just start to become more and more aware without trying too hard of whatever it is that's happening with you in that positive past life experience. Maybe you're helping someone. Maybe you're in nature and you're happy because you're in nature. Maybe you're successful in a relationship or a business, or you're just good with what you're doing right now. Maybe you've got a gift or a talent in this past life experience. Maybe you're tapping into an energy of which you were subtly aware of before. Whatever your experience is fine right here, right now. Just becoming more and more aware. Those memories can become clearer and stronger, more and more helpful for you. And don't think about it, just allow random ideas to pop into your head for no particular reason. You might get a sense of a country that you're in, but you don't really need to. You might get a sense of whether you're in a warm place or a cold place. You might get a sense of whether you're alone in the experience or whether there are others there with you. But most of all, just become more and more aware of the positive energy of this positive past life. Almost as though you can breathe it in to you now and connect with it more and more. And in a moment or two, I'm going to bring you back into the here and now. But before I do that, I want to remind you that it's easy to connect with past lives, and especially positive past lives, where we had a gift, where we had a talent. Your soul is always available to you just by closing your eyes, making the right intention, and connecting with soul in some shape or form. And if you have tapped into an experience during this brief example, then it may well be that more of it downloads to you over the next few hours or days. It may be that in your meditations or even in your dreams, that more of that energy, more of that experience becomes available to you. But what I do want you to know is that by starting to tap into your past lives, you become more aligned with the energy of the soul which is always guiding, always helping you, always there, whether you're aware of it or not. So just comfortably and easily, just start to bring your attention back into the here and now, bringing back with you any positive energy which is useful for you. Start to become aware of your feet on the floor, your bottom on that chair, the breath in your body, and start to slowly and surely stir yourself. Perhaps moving your fingers, perhaps moving your hands, just bringing all of your awareness back into this moment and opening your eyes whenever you're ready. How are you doing, you two? I see I reduced Teresa to tears pretty quickly. Hopefully they were happy tears.
Actually, yeah, they were. But I can go on and on for an hour of what happened. I went back to okay, it's weird, a past life as a dragon, and I was working with the ley lines. But what I have to tell you first is before we went into the garden, I was already experiencing another past life as a Pleiadian, and we were working with these stones. I feel like I was in my youth working with others, and we were putting energy into the stones. I think that has to do with the ley line work that we were doing in the dragon life. Now, how I worked with it, because it was an earth dragon, even though it's flying above, kind of like a drone. I could see everything below, and it felt so neat going through a cloud and feeling the mist. And these were old familiar feelings I haven't felt like for a long, long time. And so the freedom, everything we dream about flying, oh my God, it's that and more. And so I was going through all the sensations. But when there's a point on a ley line and another point, I feel like there might also be these giant earthkeeper crystals that are empowered. And so when we would fly across them with intention, we would stretch the energy from here to the next one or to the next, whatever the assignment was, whatever the earth was needing. With intention, we would stretch out the energy. So I don't know, it's kind of neat.
Amazing. You were pretty busy in that short short session.
Yes.
It's actually something that I relate to. I do quite a lot of work with earth energy lines. So, I don't know whether you're aware of it, but certainly in the UK, we've got a vast amount of stone circles. And I've been to some of them. And what you actually find is that some stone circles, and there's one in Cornwall that I can think of in particular, there's clear evidence of quartz in one of the standing stones. It's what I call a quartz generator stone. So yes, you used a different term there, but my mind went to the quartz that I'd seen in that particular rock in the place.
Well, then you know what I mean then. Yeah.
I know exactly what you mean, yeah.
Oh,
I've seen the physical manifestation of it.
Oh my God. That's so cool. I love that. Oh, you, Rhonda? Wait, Rhonda, you're
Rhonda, you're muted.
So I said mine are so boring compared to yours. Yeah, no, I was just back in some woods in some hut working with herbs. But yeah, that was so pretty cool. So yeah, I was pretty happy back there all by myself. Well, I don't think I was by myself. Somebody was around, but they were away. So yeah. No,
so that was the quickest regression I've ever done in my life.
Thank you.
You caught me by surprise, so I just thought I'd deliver something. I wasn't quite sure how long you wanted, so I thought I'd just go for it and not make it too long.
Awesome. But that's such a nice sampler of what you do and how it can help. And yeah, I'm sure everybody feels great. And the great thing now is they can watch it on the replay and go through it again and listen to it, or on the podcast and listen to it too. When they're
and I hope
driving.
They comment. Tell us the adventures you guys had.
Oh, Tammy says that was beautiful. Anybody got any show and tell? We'd love to hear you. So, and from Faroe Islands.
In the comments. Okay.
Yeah. If you are back and you can maybe say where you went, that would be great. That would be awesome. So, Doug, in the meantime, while people are typing out madly, can you tell us what's coming up for you? I know you're not doing anything in January because that's the energy, but something.
I kind of am. I exaggerate, but I'm not. Okay. I'm not that busy. I kind of, I was speaking to a friend earlier, and I said, what are you doing today? And I said, I'm doing this. And they said, don't you need to prepare? And I'm like, yeah, I do. My prep was actually staring out the window for half an hour, though.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of where I am.
That's my favorite.
That was cool.
So I have a lengthier version of what we just did. I have a course called Exploring Past Lives coming up on, I think it's the 27th of January. It's if the 27th of January is a Thursday in about 10 days time, that's when it is. And that's a 5-week course. It's online. I talk about regression. We do a regression every week. And it's, that's what it is. It's a good little course. Nice. What we did just now was a nice little brief intro. The next course or that course is, still an intro, but nonetheless, it can be really useful for people.
And so you're doing that on Saturdays and at about this time.
No, it's actually Thursdays.
Thursdays.
and it's Thursdays a little bit later than this time, so it would be afternoon your time. But
Okay.
what I do is it'd be evening my time. What I do is I record it. So I've had people
Nice.
in different parts of the world who haven't been able to make every week. So they've been able to tap into the recording quite easily.
Yeah, and connect that way. And as you see, it's pretty easy to connect to Doug's lilting tones quite easily. So that's awesome. And you just go to your website, which the links are in the
Shall I
intro.
post the link while we're talking here? Would that be helpful?
Sure, you can post it in the link, but they can also, I think I may have, or you can put it in the comments later, and people can just connect directly to the course that way. I know it's
it is on the front page of my website as well,
Okay.
Ron. So
That's great. So if you want to post that, that's great. We also have 3 other questions for you, which we prepped you for, not unlike that last one. If you had a theme song at this point in time of your life, like today, what would be your theme song or your favorite song right now for this time to reflect your mood?
You know what? I actually did put a little thought into this a little bit earlier. When I grew up as a kid, I had an uncle who was about 20 years older than me. He introduced me to music that was his time rather than my time. So I kind of grew up on, 60s and early 70s music, which was, Anyway, I still like the classics, and I still go back to the classics. And one of the albums that I'm listening to at the moment is "What's Going On" by Marvin Gaye. So my theme song at the moment would be the title song from that album, "What's Going On." It's kind of like, if you listen to the words of the album, then it kind of applies to today quite a lot. It's a great album. That's me.
I love that.
I think that's awesome. I know if you look at Doug's background, you can see he's kind of a crystal hoarder like us, but you actually deal in crystals as well. So what is your favorite crystal that you're working with right now?
I don't know whether you're going to see this that well, because of course I need to stand up.
Unless he carries it around with him.
I carry it around with me. That for me, that's the only way to work with a crystal.
Yeah.
And let me find the camera.
And unlike Bex and Teresa, you don't have a bra to put it.
Oh, gorgeous.
So it's not as well lit as it can be. There we go. It's called Watermelon Tourmaline.
That's what I thought it was. Oh, awesome.
I'm much to the detriment of my wallet, I'm a big fan of tourmaline, which is quite an expensive crystal. You don't get as much bang for your buck, to use a North American expression, as you do from other crystals. But this is, I buy and sell a lot of crystals. For me, I've always loved tourmaline, and this is just really clear. I bought a batch of this last year, and it's really clear watermelon tourmaline, and I love it. It's a stone of the heart chakra. It's one of the definitive stones of the heart chakra. So some days, well, you won't see it because it'll be underneath whatever I'm wearing. Some days I actually get some surgical tape and I tape it to that area of my body. Just for extra oomph, as it were. Ladies have the advantage. I know a lot of ladies who carry them around in their bra.
Yeah.
So I tape them to areas.
That's a good thing that you don't need to use that. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. That's surgically taping. That's pretty cool. That's a good idea. Yeah. Never thought of that. Hey, Teresa, you can tape the blue stone to the back of your neck.
Yeah, but when I pull it off, all the little hairs, it's like, ow.
Yeah, there's that to it, but just think about the bigger picture.
I think I'd wire wrap and make a necklace or something.
Yeah, that's another option. I kind of, this crystal will be, it won't be done, but, I'll work with it for, a couple of weeks, a couple of months, whatever it is, and it will go into a cabinet or something like that. So,
beautiful though.
Very nice. That's a pretty, and that comes from somewhere in New York, don't they? Somewhere in New York State, I believe.
No, this will have come from Afghanistan.
I guess there was a mine in New York, and wasn't it? Maybe I'm thinking of the story where the
There
mine.
is some American tourmalines, or there are some American
Oh, I
tourmalines.
have black tourmaline not too far from me.
Yeah, I have black tourmaline from New York. Yeah.
Yeah. Most of the problem with the North American tourmaline is it's generally about 15 times the price of what comes out of Pakistan and Afghanistan.
Oh yeah.
Right.
It comes out of Brazil as well. Brazil's pretty good. And it comes out of the Congo as well, which is always difficult to get hold of because it's difficult to get stuff out of the Congo. But this is Afghanistani.
Oh, very lovely. Very lovely. So, and the third question.
I forgot what the third question is.
Third question is, have you had, yeah, it's a big surprise for me too. No, it's my question. It's like, have you ever had encounters with UFOs or extra dimensional creatures, or do you generally believe whatever?
I've had lots of odd experiences in my life, and my odd experiences have defined me. I can tell you I was in Tibet, okay? I was in Tibet. This is a good story. And I think it was 2007. It might have been 2008. And I was having a group of us. I was with a group because you needed to be in a group to get into Tibet. And a group of us were having a massage because there was a group of blind people who ran a center for massage. And, you know, we read the reviews on the Lonely Planet or whatever the guide was, and they were fabulous. So we went and had a massage. And I have to say, it was fabulous. I guess the fact that the massage therapist didn't have their sight had made their sense of touch and feel all the better. Wow. And I was walking back to the place where we were staying by myself, and I looked down this alley, and I saw a group of Tibetan monks in a little marquee in the alley, and I was like, cool. So I went there, and they said, come here. They didn't speak English. I didn't speak their language. So I went and sat with them, and they were drinking yak's milk, which if I have one tip in life, never drink yak's milk. But, you know, I drank it too quickly. I thought this is not good. So I drank it really quickly, and they insisted on filling up my cup, which was another bad move. But anyway, they started chanting, and because I know a little bit of chanting, I was able to join in with them. I must have been there 20 minutes. It was a fabulous experience. Anyway, I left. I went back to the hotel. As I was going back to the hotel, I saw somebody from my group who said, where have you been? We lost you. And I said, you won't believe where I've been. I've just been with this group of monks down that street. Just go right, turn left. And they said, okay, we'll do that as well. We'll do that. And I said, yeah. And I saw them later that evening. And they said, we went down that street where we turned right and we turned left. There was no one there. And I'm like, ooh.
Still with the taste of yak milk in your mouth. That's
and you know, these things, you know, you can find hundreds of these, thousands of these stories around Tibet, in particular, because it's a magical, literally, place. Part of the origins of Tibet was that it comes from a magical religion called Bonpo, which fused with Tibetan Buddhism. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff. I have loads of stories like that where I've kind of walked into something extraordinary. Have I connected with UFOs? We've taken photos of them at Avebury, which is a very
is that another stone circle?
Famous stone circle in an hour and a half from here. I've always had a fervent belief in the possible. I think it's quite naive to actually not have a belief that there's other intelligent forms of life in the universe. Can we actually see them in our dimension? Sure. I also believe that, a lot of people who are incarnate on the planet today have that. You talked about a past life on the Pleiades. For me, that's like, yeah, of course. That's not an occasional thing for me. I think there's a lot of people around. They may not be aware of it, but they've incarnated in other star systems. They're bringing gifts from other dimensions, whether it's just their own energy. It doesn't actually need to be anything tangible. This is part of how we raise the vibration of this planet at this moment in time. Yeah, don't get me telling stories, otherwise I could go on for a
I
while.
just don't know. Have you seen any crop circles with your own eyes? Have you been able to, because you were in Avery and that?
I've been in crop circles a lot. I've probably been sort of around that sort of area for about 18 or more years.
Wow.
How many of them these days are genuine is debatable. That's what I would say. I happen to know somebody whose husband makes them, but they're not all fake, but some of them are.
To be able to even make them is pretty wild, anyways, as far as I'm concerned. It's almost like a weird talent that you sort of got, because to be able to do that.
If you look at some of them, you kind of think, how did you do that as well? It's an astonishing work of art. But you can kind of feel the difference, I think, between the ones that are authentic and the ones that are man-made. But what are the men, let's say they are men or men and women, that are making them doing? Are they going there and are they kind of channeling an energy which tells them what to do?
And they're compelled to do it, like having an outside compelling force to do it.
Yeah.
And I guess I've heard some podcasts where people actually feel that they're compelled to do it. So it's sort of like a compulsion or something. So
yeah.
It's awesome. I'm waiting to get one in I think we're growing barley this year, so I'm really asking for them to come down and do
I can understand this, because when we out here in Tennessee, when we pass by all these acres and acres of, I don't know, I guess it's corn or tobacco or something, I don't know. And I get the strangest urge that there should be crop circles out there. How come we don't have more? I bet you I'm the one who's got to do it. No.
Yeah, maybe there's a course somewhere you can do. But we have a lot. They seem to be concentrated around Avebury and Stonehenge for many years, if you track the history of them. And they are, we have this on this tiny little island. We have an amazing, rich, mythical history. And I think that kind of contributes to, the energy of this place.
And the ley lines all sort of dissect into your country.
Totally.
Yeah. Cool.
I mean, we have some close to us that come through our area, but yeah, that's another story. Next week, when we talk to Alex about ley lines, I think Alex from Ascension Diaries is coming on next week to talk about harp and ley lines and things like that.
I'm going to take this more.
Where is Alex from? Is he from the UK or from?
She's from. She's actually from Canada, but she lives in Colorado, I believe. So yeah.
Okay. So there's a lot in Colorado as well. Yeah.
So she's talking about. Yeah, she's into the sun flares and the Schumann resonance and how they react on people's human bodies. So it's pretty interesting how that.
It's a fascinating thing. I've been working. I almost think of it as a hobby. And I kind of get drawn to places occasionally. I end up. I have a lot of funny stories about that, and I've ended up going places that I really didn't want to go. Because I didn't think that my personality didn't think that I had the money to go there at that particular moment in time, and the money has just happened, just like that, to take me there. I ended up in Orkney, one of the islands off Scotland.
Yeah, one on my to-do list. Yeah, I'd love to go to Orkney.
Yeah, Orkney is an amazing place.
Yeah, it's so cool, so cool. Maybe someday I'll get over there when we can fly again.
Well, when we manifest our Spirit Sessions World Tour.
That's the way to go, yeah?
That's
the way.
And Teresa can take a course on how to make crop circles. Thank you so much, Doug. And please check out Doug's app. It's very inexpensive and well worth every penny to download it for your evening pleasure when you're going to sleep at night. And he's got a great voice for hypnotherapy, and you can explore his course, 5 weeks. That's and you can get it on Zoom through his website. And I guess there's one more thing I have to do. I have to say who won last week. So that was Kathy Crocker from Manitoba, I believe.
Kathy, spell that last name for me.
And what's Kathy won?
K-E-R. She won a session with Teresa.
Oh, fabulous.
A session with Teresa. We usually have every week, whoever shares out the most, we rotate through, wins a session with one of us for 30 minutes. So it's great. It's fun. We do that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Lucky Kathy.
Yeah. So awesome. So thank you. Please share this show out. And if you want to, you can go and download the episode on our podcast. You also have a podcast too, Doug.
I have a podcast, and it's free. It's called Gifts. No, what's it called? It's called The Call of Your Soul. And you'll find it if you go on my website. It's there. There's we've done 3 series. I think it's 3 series. We did the first one on past lives, the second one on crystals, the third one is on energy management, and I need to upload the final episode for energy management. But it's there. All of them are quite. When I did it, I thought, I follow podcasts, and I like a lot of stuff, but I kind of get lost when they go into like 1.5, 2 hours. I just think it's too long.
I try to get it to about 45 minutes or whatever.
So we did 20-minute episodes, 25-minute episodes, just nice bite-sized chunks for people, just to give them a flavor. So, sometimes when people think podcasts, they go, I don't have the time for that. But you have the time for these ones.
I have to drive an hour anywhere. So an hour is a really good length for a podcast for me. So that's good for us.
Cool. Well, listen, thank you very much for having me. It's always a pleasure to be on your show. And if in another 2 years you choose to invite me back, then the answer is yes. You don't have to. Let's just fix the date, yeah?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'll see you guys next week. Thanks.
All right.
Namaste.
Bye.